Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us. This is Yoel Cortex, Senior Librarian at Libris, and this is part 3 of our 5-part series on Alma Digital, including digital inventory in Alma and digitization requests. It is 19th of May, 2020. As Ray already stated, the previous 2 sessions are on our Knowledge Center. They're on YouTube as well, referenced from one to the other. And this will also be recorded. All of the information that we'll be going over today and all of the information we've gone over in the previous sessions is on our Knowledge Center here at Alma Training, Extended Training, Presentations and Documents Digital. That's for the benefit of those viewing the recording. For those who are fortunate enough to join us live, I'm sending out the link, so you've got it. We have the materials here that we discussed in session 1, in session 2, and now we're on session 3, access rights and copyright declarations for digital objects. So I have already downloaded this PowerPoint. I'm only going to show one slide from the whole PowerPoint. And that one slide is going to be, what is an access right? We're talking about 2 different topics today, access rights and copyright declarations. The first half will be the access rights. The second half will be the copyright declarations, which go into the access rights. And let's first define what an access right is. It's the conditions that must be fulfilled in order for patrons to access digital resources. And let's see what we're talking about. So in the first session, if you recall, we created a title level collection. Then we manually added digital inventory. We manually created a bibliographic record, and then we created a digital a representation, and we added to the representation a digital file manually. In the second session, we did staff mediated and patron deposits, where staff and patrons were able to deposit digital inventory. So in those 2 sessions, we put digital inventory into the system. Those of you who were there may recall we had a collection about flowers. And in that collection, let's go to Resources, Manage Collections. So we had this one here on the flowers, and then we had sub-collections, and we added to the different sub-collections. And we saw, we'll do a deliver so we can see it. We saw the digital inventory. The second session, we added some articles to a collection called Scholarly Articles about Library and Information Science. And now we're going to be talking about who's in charge of making sure that only the people we want to be able to access this digital inventory will access it. So that's done by an access right. And the access rights are configured at Configuration, Fulfillment, Copyright Management, Access Rights. And all of the conditions, let me close my mail here, all of the conditions that we can use to control the access rights, we can see right here. Instead of us giving a list of what they are, we can say add rule. I got to give it a name first. I'm going to call this afternoon session because we already had a morning session. I'm going to make a first one that says only user group faculty can access. And I'm going to give a denied note. The denied note is a note which goes to either a guest or a user who is not faculty, user group faculty, to say why he can't access it. So we'll say, this is accessible to user group. He'll know or she'll know why he or she can't access it. Now we can add a rule and parameter. So here are all of the different types of parameters we can use to determine who can do it. Concurrent users, how many at the same time can access it? DNS, embargo, IP range, Leganto user, the user is registered or not. User group, user ID, you can put in a series of user IDs. And all of these are explained. If you just go to Google and you write, for example, what did we have there? Current users, IP range, user group, DNS. I'm putting in some of the examples we had there. Access rights, Alma, Libris. For sure, Google will bring us the result, and here we are. Configuring access rights and licenses. And it will, oh, that's the Explorer one, actually. So we'll take the one for fulfillment. Here we are. And it'll give us a rundown of all of the different parameters that we can use there in order to determine who's going to see it. Here's all the explanations of all of those parameters we just saw. So we're now using user group. So we'll say here, if user group equals faculty, add parameter, then allow view and allow download. And this is the rule. First, we made the policy. The policy we called this. And the rule, this specific rule, we'll call user group. I'll just call it even UG. UG faculty can access. Okay. So we've made one policy called afternoon session, only user group faculty can access. It has a rule which says if the user group equals faculty, then allow view and allow download. Okay, and save. Now later, the second half of today's session, we're also going to be adding a copyright. Wait on that. And save. So now we have our first access right. Let's make another access right. Here's our ones from this morning. We just called them session 1. Okay, now let's make another one, access rights. And this one is going to use the register. This is a very popular one. It means only a user who has signed in, who has registered, who has authenticated, can access the digital object. So let's give that a try here. We'll say, again, let me go back. I'm going to do add again, just so we're doing it all for nothing. Add access right. So we'll call this one afternoon session only logged in. Okay. The denied note will be you must be logged into. Okay, so we have now our access rights policy. I saved it, but I haven't yet made a rule. Afternoon session only logged in user. And now we'll add a rule to it. This time we'll say if registered equals true, in other words, they have registered, add parameter. Registered being they have authenticated. They've logged in. Then allow view and allow download. So this will be logged in can view. Okay. Now we've got two rules. Policies. And let's just put this information here on the side for a minute. I'm going to say new. Oh, sorry about that. I'm going to say new. Okay. So we have, I'm going to call it AR. We have an access right that only faculty can view. And we have another access right that only logged in user can. Okay. So now let's take a look at two patrons. Before we actually do the testing, let's get our sample patrons. So we have a patron named Alicia and we have a patron named Donald. Alicia is user group faculty. Donald is user group distance learner. Let's go take a look at these. We'll go back to Alma now. Someone asks, if you don't configure rules, can anyone view? There's a default. We're going to get to the default soon. Okay, so let's look at the users. We'll take Donald Draper as our first example. Go. So here's Donald. Donald is a distance learner. His user group is distance learner. Then we have Alicia. And Alicia has a user group faculty. Now, let's take a look at some of our examples. So the first one we'll look at, we'll go to digital titles, because now we're going to put the access right that we just used, that we just created, in the representation of what we're going to check. Excuse me, I'm just going to take a drink here. Okay, so the first one is going to be an article. I got it right here. Research status and characteristics of library and information science in Taiwan, a bibliographic analysis. And I'm going to go to the representation, edit, and here, in this field here for access rights, we'll use the first access right we made. The first access right that we made is called afternoon session. Only user group faculty can access. So let's put that also over here. We'll copy this. And just so we remember what we've done here, we have this title with access rights only faculty can view. There it is, afternoon session only user group for research status and statistics. Then we have another resource, another digital resource, which is called Two Librarians Having a Business Meeting. Very important business meeting. And let's go to the representations there. Edit. And here we'll give the afternoon session only a logged in user can view it. Here we are. We'll take this one here. Two librarians having a business meeting. Save. It has afternoon session only logged in user. Save. Okay. Someone asked if the access rights can be configured at the collection level. No, but you can globally update multiple representations, and they may be all in one collection. But I'll go more into those questions once we get the first flow going. Okay, so now we have our second one. This one here, and this is access rights only a logged in user can see. So let's take a look now. If we go now to look in, let's take the second one first. Librarians having a business meeting. Let's just see who we've got with us today. 86 attendees. Okay. Big crowd. Nice to see. Nice to see people are still coming to these. Okay, so I'm going to go to Primo now. And let's do a search. I'm not logged in because it says sign in on the top right, so I know I'm not logged in. I try to view two librarians having a business meeting at and it says available online. I tried to view it and I can't it says you must be logged in to view this right here. So this is our denied note. It says you must be logged in to view this. If you recall, when we went to that access right, here, fulfillment, copyright management access rights, the afternoon session, only a logged in user, we made a denied note, which is you must be logged in to view this. And sure enough, here it is, you must be logged in to view this. So now I'm going to log in as Donald Draper. Now, Donald Draper, you may recall, is the distance learner. Boom. Okay. So now, here we go. Search again, just to refresh the whole thing. Available online. Now I no longer have that message. I see the preview here. And now I can go right in. Let's take the universal viewer. And now I have access. And I can do everything with the universal viewer that we saw last time. And here's two librarians having a business meeting. Okay, so we saw that we went in as a guest. We were not able to see it. Then we logged in as a distance learner, and we were able to see it. Anyone who's logged in can access this image. Now, if we come along, I'm still logged in as Donald Draper. Donald Draper, I'm just going to go back here. Donald Draper is a distance learner. And the article, Research Status and Characteristics of Library and Information Science, has the access right that only faculty should view it. So Donald should not be able to see this. Let's give it a try. So now we'll search that. And we see Available Online. And we click Available Online. And it says this is accessible to user group faculty. That's the denied note. If we go back to this access right that we made, the denied note is right here, and the denied note is what appears here to the user. Now, if we log in as somebody who is faculty, I'm going to sign out as Donald. We all saw already that Alicia is faculty. And she logs in, and she searches for that same article, does Available Online, and gets the preview here, and has an option to click for the Alma viewer and view it. So we had two resources. One was, both of them weren't accessible to someone who wasn't logged in. One was accessible only to user group faculty, and one was accessible to anybody who's logged in. Now, somebody already asked, and the plan was to say it anyway right now, what happens if there is no access right there? Can everything that doesn't have an access right be viewed by anybody? Or is anything without an access right restricted? Well, really, there's two options. There's a job we're going to see in a moment, which can globally update access rights. And there's also a default. So where is the default? Let's first of all take something. Let's go in here. We'll take something first so we have an example, something that already exists here. Where's my digital titles? One of my favorites here is this one, Prunus Dulcis. Okay, so this one here does not have an access right at all. No access right. And if someone comes into Primo and searches for the Prunus Dulcis in the library catalog and does Available Online, gets this beautiful picture. Almond tree. That's an almond tree in full bloom. About a month ago, all of the almond trees here were in full bloom. And oh, I'm still logged in. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. And thanks for pointing that out. I'm going to sign out. Thank you. Okay, I'm not logged in as anybody. Thank you. Prunus dulcis. Good thing I'm getting kept on my toes here. Okay, Prunus dulcis available online. And I'll click for the universal viewer and I can view it. There we are. And I can zoom right in. Look at that. Beautiful. Okay. Now, why was I able to do that? Because the default is defined now as allowed. It's possible to have two different defaults, either allowed or restricted. So let's go take a look. Where is the default defined? Configuration. This is all in the PowerPoint for those who want to read it home. Resources, general, other settings, access rights, default policy. First one. So right now it says allow, but I'm going to change it to restrict and save. So now anything without an access rights will not be viewable in Discovery. I'm going to again search for the same one, Prunus dulcis, and available online. You do not have permission to view this object. So that's the default. Now, let's say I wanted to take a whole collection. Somebody asked about, can I do it on the collection level? Let's say I wanted to take, I've actually never done it this way, but I'm sure it'll work. Let's say I go to my managed collections and I have, let's edit this. And I have one called Flowers of Israel bulbs. Bulbs being the type of flower, not the things that go on the ceiling for light. So these are the bulbs. And if I were to look for this Sternbergia, that's another classic. Well, let me first of all let me change my default here to allow again. Now, if somebody comes and searches for that Sternbergia clausia, okay, there it is. Available online. This is another classic. There it is. Now, and he goes to the Alma viewer or wherever he wants to go to and sees it. Now, okay. So, if now I wanted to come along and change everything that is in the collection, again, resources, manage collections, Flowers of Israel, edit, bulbs, edit. If I wanted to take this entire collection and give it a certain access right, let me just see if my colleague Daniel is here as well. Daniel is an expert on, among many other things, digital. Daniel is with us. Great. So Daniel, if you have any comments, of course, jump right in. So I can come now and in the digital titles, do an advanced search by collection. Collection ID will do. Okay, collection ID. So the collection ID for managed collections, oh, it's right there. It was right in front of me. Edit. Edit. Okay. Flowers of Israel, here's my collection ID. Bulbs. And we say digital titles, advanced, we're going to search by the collection ID, equals this, search. So now I've got everything in that collection. It happens to be that there's only 3 of them right now. I'm going to save this query as this bulbs. That's my set. Now I can run a job, which is admin, run a job. It's under information update. It's called global representation changes because we're going to globally update the representations. And then we're going to go get our set. And we'll choose our set. And we can restrict as part of the sets, but we're not going to restrict. We're going to do on the whole set. And we're going to say, change the access rights policy to afternoon session, only user group faculty can access, just as an example. Next, submit. So now I'm updating an entire title level collection, all of the representations in it, to have one certain access right. That was a question. I'm just going to go back to the chat for a minute. I believe that's what the person asked. And let's see here. 1 minute. Let me look here. I thought I saw someone ask that. Our collections are populated by sets of materials, then will the rights be the same as those materials? That is, we won't need to set anything different for access rights. Is it possible to set up a access rights, a digital collection? Okay, so someone asked if it's possible to set up an access right for a digital collection. I now took everything in a digital collection and ran the job on it here, and I updated the entire digital collection. Let's just take a look at the report. All 3 records were changed. So now if I were to go into that collection, let's take a look here. I can do it. Collection ID this. All of these, which are all in the same collection, the Flowers of Israel bulbs, you can see in the facet, all of these will have the access right user group faculty. Here it is, afternoon session, user group faculty. If we go to history, we can see that the job here system added that. And now let's take this one, the autumn crocus. If somebody were to try to log to see now the autumn crocus, here, available online. I think I have 2 of them. Jerusalem autumn crocus. Am I signed in? Jerusalem autumn crocus. Let's go step by step. Here it is. General information. Afternoon session. Only user group faculty can access it. I come over here. I search for it. Get the exact name here. There it is, available online. This is accessible to user group faculty. So we can't. Now, I'm going to clean those up for a moment. Again, the global update, it's a job, admin run a job. It works on a set. The job is called Global Representation Update. Here, Global Representation Changes. We choose a set. This is the set we made. Then we choose what we want to change. I'm now going to say the access rights policy will be unassigned. So I'm making it empty again. Next, submit, confirm. And now it's running on all of the representations in that set. It's already done. If I take the same one now, this one here, now no longer have the access right. Now it's empty. It's empty. And if we go to history, we see that here it was added. The new value was that. And here it was removed. The new value was in. Okay. So we created two access rights. I'm just doing a summary now. We created two access rights. We added those access rights to two different resources. One resource made it so we could only view it if we were logged in. The other one said we could only view it if we were logged in as someone with user group faculty. We tried it. In both cases, it worked. Then we made one that was the default for the entire system for anything which we did not have an access right. The two options were allow or restrict. We changed it to restrict, and then we couldn't see any of the digital objects. Then we ran a job to globally change everything in a set. Okay, my colleague Daniel, if you want to add anything there that I may have missed about the access rights, feel free to join in. Okay, next. Next, we're going to go in as up. Okay, I got a comment here that it's also possible to create a deposit profile with a specific access right. Okay, so let's take a look briefly at what we looked at last week, which was the deposit profiles. Let's even come here, those of you who were with us last week. Deposit profiles. Here's the ones we used last week. The deposit articles about library and information science. We had one for faculty, one for graduate students. And in here, we could also put the access rights policy. And then when the deposit is made, it will automatically have that particular access right. We're not going to start making another deposit like we did last week. But if we had one big 5-hour session instead of 5 one-hour sessions, we could have mixed everything. We're trying to build as we go. So it is possible here, just like it will by default go to this collection, it will by default get whatever access right I choose here. I could say only accessible to everybody except alumni. Anything deposited via this profile would automatically get that access rights. Okay, so I think now, due to time constraints, because if there's going to be questions also about the copyrights, we're going to have to save ourselves a little bit of time. So let's go now to the copyright declarations. So the copyright declarations, there's two different types of ways to display a copyright declaration when viewing a digital object. It can be obtrusive. I'm going to put that here because it's a big word. Obtrusive or not obtrusive. If we define, and we're going to see how this works, but I just want to give the introduction. If we define a copyright declaration as obtrusive, then a user will not be able to view a digital object until he reads the copyright declaration and clicks close. Or actually, he doesn't have to read it. But let's say he has to acknowledge at least that it's on the screen, because until he clicks close, he won't be able to view the object. So that's obtrusive. When it's not obtrusive, then he'll just have a little indication with a C of the copyright sign that there is a copyright. And once he goes in or she goes in, she or he will have a link to read the copyright. Let's see what we're talking about here. So let's continue with our example of two librarians having a business. Everybody remembers this one. So, two librarians having a business meeting. If we go to the representations and we look at this representation, it's using an access right called afternoon session only logged in user. And let's go to there. So we're going to fulfillment and access rights and afternoon session only user group faculty can access. So it's possible here, as we see, to also add a copyright here, and also to add whether it be obtrusive or not. So let me just see what we've got here in our participants, view all attendees, so I know what kind of examples to use here. Okay, great. So let's say we want to go to the copyright. So there's 5 different copyrights that can be used for this specific situation. Where are those defined? Under fulfillment, under copyright management, under copyrights declaration. And for our specific purposes here, we're talking about these here, these 1 to 5, copyrights 5, copyrights 4, 3, 2, 1, etc. Let's take this one for future use. And let's say this resource is restricted to residents of the state of Kentucky. And let's even make that italic. We can use, as you see here, HTML. I think you can throw in the colors, though. I tried once, but let's try it again. If I say font color equals red. Okay, and then I close my font. Okay. And then I'll just add a paragraph close. Let me spell Kentucky a little different. Say residents of Tennessee can see other digital resources. And of course, it would probably be something a little more official than this, but just so we see that we can configure it as we please. Okay, that's enough for our purposes. Save. So we've got our copyright. It's called for future use. I'm going to rename it to Kentucky and Tennessee. Save. All right. Now we're going to take that one and go to the access right. Access rights, which is afternoon session, only user group faculty can access. And we're going to add the Kentucky and Tennessee copyrights to that access right. And we're not going to click obtrusive at this stage. Save. Okay, great. And I want to make sure here that I didn't make a mistake. 2 librarians having a business meeting, representations, edit. Yep, that's the one I got after. Oh, only logged in user. It's a good thing I checked. I'm going to change this to afternoon session only user group faculty, because that's the one we just added the copyright to. Okay, save. So now along comes a librarian. We're going to be combining multiple things. Along comes an end user, excuse me. Not logged in. Searches for 2 librarians. Business meeting. and does available online, available only to user group faculty. He or she says, well, that's just fine. I happen to be user group faculty. I'll log in. Some questions popping up. We're going to have time for questions. We planned on purpose. Now that user does this, now sees that there's a copyright here. Goes in, can view it. Was not told that they need to view the copyright first. Everything's viewable. But the user can click here. I'm on the top right where I've got this copyright. Clicks there. Ah, look at that. We do have the red. And gets it. This resource is restricted to residents of the state of Kentucky only. Residents of Tennessee can see other digital resources. I must have not closed my font color. But anyway, we get the point. So now I saw the copyright, but it wasn't obtrusive. It didn't pop up in my face. Now we're going to make it obtrusive. First of all, just to make it official, we're going to fix my font. This is being recorded. Someone will think I don't know how to close my font. We'll go to the Copyrights Declaration. This is the one we use, Kentucky and Tennessee. And what did I do wrong here? I didn't close it. Right. Okay. One little slash and it all appears bad. Okay. Save. Okay. Now we're going to go into the access right. How do I go to access rights? Somebody send in a chat. How do I go from here to the access rights? Let's see who wins. That's right. Okay, someone just said go to fulfillment, copyrights declaration, access rights, but he doesn't want me to tell who he is. He's being modest. Okay, so here I am, fulfillment, copyrights management, access rights. We're going into this one here, afternoon session, only user group faculty can access. And now we're going to make it obtrusive and save. Great. So it's obtrusive. Again, afternoon session on the user group faculty can access. That access right is tied to the Kentucky and Tennessee Copyrights Declaration. It's defined as obtrusive. And the resource, which is called Two Librarians Having a Business Meeting, that representation uses that access right here. So now somebody comes in and searches for it, clicks available online, and now when the user goes and tries to access this, unlike last time when he merely saw that there was a copyright, but he was able directly to go and view it, this time he's first going to see the actual copyright. So now I'll click, for example, the Alma viewer. And before I can even go view the resource, I see here the copyright. This is an important part here because we're able to follow standard copyright rules of the resources that I get, that a user automatically sees the copyright. Whether he reads it or not, that's his business, but it automatically gets on the screen, and he can't proceed until he clicks close. So then the user clicks close, and now the resource appears, and he still has the option here of clicking the C on top and again reading it. But he can't view the resource until he first clicks close, being an acknowledgement that he read the copyright. Okay, so I'm going to stop here and go into the chat and see if there's any questions I missed or if anybody else wants to ask a question. So I'm going to start reading through here. Someone says, what level of authority does one need to be able to define access rights? Okay, so there's a digital inventory operator. I'm going here to the user details. And I'm just going to click add role just to see the roles. Here. Okay. That answers my question. Somebody wrote before that. That answers my question. I don't know what the question was, but it was answered. Is it possible to set up RA a digital collection? Maybe you meant AR access rights. Digital collection. The access rights don't have a way to say if what you're asking is if I go to these access rights, fulfillment, copyright management, access rights, the rules inside the access rights, there's not one that says name of digital collection. That's what you're asking. You can't tie this to the digital collection. Let's go on. Chat. Okay, I don't see any new questions coming in. Nobody has another question. Okay, so in that case, you have time to demo limiting concurrent users. You know what? Let's try it. It's a very difficult one to do. I'm going to use two bar. Let's try it. Then we'll have some fun together. Let's give it a try. We've got 13 minutes. Let's try it. This will be a good one. So here's what someone asks. You have time to demo limiting concurrent users. Let's give it a try. We can do it. What I'll do is I'll limit it by 2 concurrent users. I'll limit it by can't be more than 1. Then I'll open Chrome and I'll open Firefox, and in one I'll try it, and in the other I'll try it, and in the second one I should get limited. Let's give it a try. So, thanks. That's a nice suggestion. So let's go to configuration, fulfillment, access rights. And this one is defined as 5 concurrent users. Let's just see what he did. Oh, 5 users within 15 minutes. All right, we'll make our own. So I'm going to add access rights. Only 1 concurrent user allowed. I could do 3 and then open Chrome and Firefox and Edge and Explorer. But let's keep it a little simple. Okay, and add rule. Call it the same as the policy name. Add a parameter. One user every 1 minute. Otherwise, we have to sit here forever, you know. Add parameter. Okay, this is going to be interesting. I've never tried it this way. I've set it up for other people who have used it in real life. I've never tried it doing 1 minute and then trying to test it with 2 different browsers. We're doing a little QA here. All right. Daniel, if you want to add anything here, let me know, because this is going to be an interesting one. And we'll make the denial. There is already 1 concurrent user. Okay. Save. Okay. Now, let's give that access right to This one here. Okay. Investigators from National Taiwan University report on new data. Okay. Representations. Edit. And let's choose it. Here it is. Save. Save. Okay. So I will leave this primo. I'm going to get my other primo ready because I want to be the first one to go in right away. So this is my Chrome. This is my Firefox. We'll go into Primo Demo here too. I'm taking a big risk here, but what can you do? Okay. Now, here, I'm going to refresh here too. Everything's going to be brand new. Someone searches here. Copied it twice. Information science. Okay. Fine. Here we go. Yeah, Daniel, you can say what you'd like about this. Let's just see what's going to happen in a minute. This is going to be interesting. So, new data on information science.
Joel, I'll just say while you're setting this up, I'll just add that in the configuration of the concurrent users, you set the session period, which basically means if it's 15 minutes, for example, then if someone tries to access the content, then the system checks how many sessions started in the last 15 minutes. And if that exceeds or already reached the number of concurrent users, then the access will be denied. That's how it works.
Okay, so let's give it a try. Here we go. I'm in Chrome. I found it available online. Alma viewer. I see it. Along comes another guy in Firefox. Searches for it. Clicks available online. Ah, look at that. Absolutely beautiful. Look at that. There's already one concurrent user. So we successfully set up two of them, and we automatically got it there. Okay, that was a good one, huh, Daniel? It wasn't even planned in advance.
Yeah, great job, Joel.
It's Alma. It's Alma development. Okay, somebody asked, can we get digital usage statistics? Oh yeah, you can get digital usage statistics. I was thinking of making a session 6 about analytics and digital. Maybe we will do that if there's interest. So inside analytics, there's two subject areas. We're not going to get into them now, but you should know there's digital inventory and there's digital usage. So you can get everything you'd like from there. How many of the people on here now, just out of interest, if you know how to raise your hand in here, how many were in the previous 2 sessions? I'm not seeing any hand raises. Just send in a message. Say, yeah, I was in. There's a way to do a. Okay, got some hands going up now. There's a way to do a. A lot of hands going up. That's good. Okay. All right. So we're going to end here. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. And please join us next time. Next time, we're moving away from the digital inventory, and we're going to digitization requests. Digitization requests do not create digital inventory. It creates a digital scan, for example, and either sends it to someone as an attachment or makes a temporary deposit, we'll call it, a link that someone can access it at. So that's next time. digital requests, document delivery requests, and we'll see you then. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.